What if I told you that somewhere in the world, there are two royal tombs on different continents, both containing the same woman? Not copies, not replicas, but the same queen, perfectly preserved in both locations. Her name was Queen Isidora, the Eternal, and her story defies everything we know about death, preservation, and the very nature of existence itself. In 1893, archaeologists in Romania discovered an ornate marble tomb deep within the Carpathian Mountains. Inside lay a woman in pristine condition, as if she had died yesterday. Her jewelry, her clothing, even the roses in her hair remained untouched by time. The inscriptions identified her as Queen Isidora of Moldavia, who supposedly died in 1647. But here's where this story becomes impossible to explain. Just 6 months later, another team of explorers in the remote mountains of Peru uncovered an identical tomb, same marble, same inscriptions, same woman. Queen Isidora of Moldavia, dead for over 2 centuries, lying in perfect preservation on the other side of the world. How can one person be buried in 2 places? How can a European queen from the 17th century end up mummified in South American highlands? And why do both bodies show no signs of decay after more than 200 years? Tonight, we're diving into one of history's most disturbing mysteries, a tale that combines royal intrigue, ancient preservation techniques, and something far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Let me take you back to 1647, to the small kingdom of Moldavia, nestled between the Ottoman Empire and the growing power of Russia. Queen Isidora ruled during one of the most turbulent periods in Eastern European history. She was known for her intelligence, her beauty, and her complete obsession with immortality. Historical records describe Isidora as a woman consumed by the fear of death. She spent enormous amounts of the royal treasury on alchemists, mystics, and scholars from across Europe, all searching for ways to preserve life beyond its natural limits. Her court became a gathering place for the strangest minds of the era. People who promised her eternal youth, eternal beauty, eternal power. But Isidora's quest went far beyond simple vanity. Court documents, discovered in the Romanian archives, reveal her true motivation. She believed that death was not the end, but a transition to a higher form of existence. She spoke of splitting her essence, of existing in multiple places simultaneously, of transcending the physical limitations of human mortality. The Queen's personal physician, Dr. Matthias Kronos, kept detailed journals of her experiments. These journals, written in a mixture of Latin and an unknown cipher, describe procedures that sound more like torture than medicine. Bloodletting rituals performed under specific lunar cycles. Consumption of mercury and other toxic metals believed to preserve flesh. Most disturbing of all, the systematic replacement of her organs with those of younger victims. By 1646, Isidora had become something barely recognizable as human. Witnesses described her skin as having an unnatural pallor, her eyes as completely black, and her voice as hollow and echoing. She rarely appeared in public, and when she did, people claimed she cast no shadow, and mirrors failed to reflect her image. The Queen's final year was marked by increasingly bizarre behavior. She ordered the construction of multiple identical tombs across different continents, claiming she would need them all. She began speaking in languages that no scholar could identify, languages that seemed to predate any known civilization. Most unsettling, she started referring to herself in the plural, as if multiple personalities inhabited her body. In March of 1647, Queen Isidora announced her death. Not that she was dying, but that she had chosen the moment of her death and would execute it with precise timing. She gathered her entire court in the throne room and, in front of dozens of witnesses, simply ... stopped. Her heart ceased beating. Her breathing ended. Her body became still. But here's the truly horrifying part. Her eyes remained open, alert, and apparently aware of everything happening around her. Dr. Kronos immediately began the preservation process. They had perfected over years of gruesome experimentation, but instead of preparing one body, the witnesses reported something impossible. As the preservation ritual progressed, Queen Isidora's body began to multiply, not divide, not split, but somehow exist in multiple forms simultaneously. The court records become increasingly frantic and contradictory at this point. Some witnesses claimed they saw two identical bodies. Others insisted there were three, or even four. What everyone agreed upon was that by the end of the ritual, there were definitely multiple versions of the dead queen. All perfectly preserved, all identical, down to the smallest detail. The immediate aftermath was chaos. The Kingdom of Moldavia effectively ceased to exist within months of Isidora's death. The population fled, claiming the land was cursed. The castle was abandoned so quickly that meals were left half-eaten on tables. Clothes remained scattered. In bedrooms, and valuable treasures were simply left behind. Now, let's jump forward 246 years to 1893. Romanian archaeologist Victor Petrescu was exploring the ruins of the abandoned castle when his team discovered a hidden entrance leading deep underground. What they found defied all logical explanation. The chamber was massive, carved directly from the living rock of the mountain. The air inside was perfectly preserved, neither too hot nor too cold, with no signs of moisture or decay. At the center of the chamber stood an elaborate marble sarcophagus, covered in inscriptions in multiple languages: Latin, Romanian, Arabic, and several scripts that remain untranslated to this day. When they opened the sarcophagus, Victor Petrescu nearly fainted. Inside lay Queen Isidora, exactly as described in the historical records, completely untouched by the passage of time. Her skin retained its color, her hair remained lustrous, her clothing showed no signs of age or decay. Even more disturbing, her body remained warm to the touch. But the discoveries in Romania were nothing compared to what happened next. Dr. Carlos Mendoza, a Spanish archaeologist working in Peru, had been following Petrescu's findings with great interest. Mendoza had been investigating reports of a mysterious tomb in the Andes Mountains, a tomb that local indigenous people had avoided for centuries, claiming it was protected by malevolent spirits. Using the descriptions from the Romanian discovery as a guide, Mendoza located an almost identical chamber high in the Peruvian mountains. The entrance was hidden behind layers of Incan stonework, but the chamber itself was clearly much older than any Incan construction. The architecture, the inscriptions, even the air quality were virtually identical to the Romanian tomb. And inside the second sarcophagus lay Queen Isidora of Moldavia. Not a copy, not a look-alike, but the same woman. With the same scars, the same jewelry, the same impossible state of preservation. Carbon dating of materials from both tombs confirmed they were from the same time period, but radiocarbon analysis of the bodies themselves produced results that science still cannot explain. Both bodies showed identical cellular structure, identical DNA, identical everything, but they also showed signs of life that should have been impossible. Brain activity, minimal but measurable. Blood that remained liquid and maintained proper chemical composition. Most horrifying of all, both bodies occasionally showed involuntary muscle movement, as if dreaming. The scientific community initially dismissed both discoveries as hoaxes, but as more researchers examined the evidence, it became impossible to ignore. The preservation method used on both bodies employed techniques that were far beyond 17th century knowledge. Chemical analysis revealed the presence of compounds that weren't discovered until the 20th century, applied in ways that modern science still cannot replicate. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a forensic pathologist who examined both bodies, made perhaps the most disturbing discovery of all. Deep tissue analysis revealed that the organs in both bodies had been systematically replaced, but not with organs from different people. Instead, each organ showed signs of having been regenerated from the Queen's own tissue, as if her body had somehow learned to regrow itself. The implications were staggering. Had Queen Isidora somehow discovered a form of preservation that could maintain life indefinitely? Had she found a way to exist in multiple places simultaneously? Or was something far more sinister at work? Local legends from both Romania and Peru began to make more sense in light of these discoveries. Romanian folklore spoke of the eternal queen who would return when the world was ready for her rule. Peruvian stories told of a pale woman who appeared in the mountains, teaching forbidden knowledge to those brave enough to seek her out. But the most chilling detail came from analysis of the preservation chambers themselves. Both rooms showed signs of recent activity. Fresh footprints in the dust around the sarcophagi, recently burned candles. Most disturbing of all, both bodies showed evidence of having been moved, rotated, even dressed in different clothing over the years. Someone, or something, had been caring for these bodies for more than 2 centuries. The investigation took an even darker turn when researchers discovered that both tomb sites had been visited regularly throughout history. Church records from Romania mentioned mysterious pilgrimages to the Mountain of the Sleeping Queen. Spanish colonial documents from Peru described indigenous reports of a living death that dwelt in the high peaks. In 1921, a group of occultists attempted to perform a ritual at the Romanian site, believing they could commune with Queen Isidora's spirit. All 5 members of the group were found dead 3 days later, their bodies showing signs of rapid aging. Decades of decomposition compressed into hours. Similar incidents occurred at the Peruvian site. In 1957, 3 university students disappeared while investigating the tomb. They were found a week later, still alive, but completely catatonic, their hair white and their eyes clouded over. When they finally recovered enough to speak, all 3 claimed to have spent months in the presence of the Queen, learning secrets about life and death that human minds weren't meant to comprehend. The most recent incident occurred in 1990, just before both tomb sites were sealed by government authorities. Dr. Michael Harrison, a British anthropologist, spent 3 nights alone in the Romanian chamber as part of a documentary project. The footage he captured defies explanation. On all 3 nights, the cameras recorded the same phenomenon. At exactly 3:33 in the morning, Queen Isidora's eyes would open, not gradually, but instantly, as if she had been awake all along and simply chose that moment to reveal it. For exactly 17 minutes, the cameras captured her looking directly at the lens, her lips moving silently, as if trying to communicate something urgent. Enhancement of the audio revealed whispers in multiple languages, but the content remained unclear. What was clear was the intelligence behind those eyes, the awareness, the unmistakable sense that something was looking back through the cameras at anyone who dared to watch. Dr. Harrison's notes from those 3 nights paint a picture of mounting psychological pressure. He described feeling watched constantly, hearing voices that seemed to come from inside his own mind, and experiencing vivid dreams of Queen Isidora's original experiments in immortality. By the 3rd night, he was convinced that the Queen was attempting to transfer her consciousness into his body. The final entry in Harrison's journal reads, "She's not dead. She never was dead. Death was just another country she conquered, another realm she learned to rule, and now she wants to return to the world of the living. God help us all when she succeeds." Both tomb sites were officially sealed in 1999 following Dr. Harrison's psychological breakdown. The bodies of Queen Isidora remain in their respective chambers, under round-the-clock surveillance by government agencies that refuse to acknowledge their existence publicly. But sealing the tombs hasn't stopped the phenomena. Seismic equipment at both sites regularly records vibrations consistent with human movement. Temperature sensors detect regular fluctuations, suggesting breathing patterns. Most disturbing of all, security cameras continue to capture the same 3:33 a.m. eye-opening ritual, even though the tombs are supposedly completely sealed. Recent satellite imagery has revealed something that has sent chills through the scientific community. Both tomb sites are surrounded by perfect circles of dead vegetation, circles that grow larger every year. Analysis of the soil shows chemical compositions that match no known natural processes, as if life itself is being systematically drained from the surrounding area. The locals in both Romania and Peru have begun reporting the same phenomena. Sightings of a pale woman walking through villages at night, always alone, always silent. Children born in the regions around both tomb sites show unusual characteristics, intelligence far beyond their years, knowledge of languages they never learned, and dreams of a beautiful queen who teaches them secrets about life and death. So what really happened to Queen Isidora of Moldavia? Did she discover the secret to true immortality, splitting her essence between two bodies, two continents, two chambers where she waits for the right moment to return? Or is this something far more sinister, an ancient evil that learned to wear the face of a long-dead queen? The evidence suggests that whatever Queen Isidora became in those final years of her life, death was not the end of her story. It was merely another transformation in a journey that began with a mortal woman's fear of dying and evolved into something that challenges our understanding of life, death, and the boundaries between them. The sealed tombs continue to show signs of activity, the bodies remain perfectly preserved, and somewhere in the darkness of those chambers, Queen Isidora of Moldavia continues her centuries-long wait, patient and eternal, for the day when the world will be ready to witness her return. The most terrifying part of this story isn't what we know about Queen Isidora, it's what we don't know. What did she learn in those final years? What price did she pay for her immortality? And when she finally decides the time is right to reclaim her place in the world of the living, what will that mean for the rest of US? Two tombs, two continents, one impossible queen. The mystery of Queen Isidora of Moldavia remains unsolved, and perhaps that's for the best. Some secrets are kept hidden, not because we can't understand them, but because understanding them would change us in ways we're not prepared for. The next time you hear stories of the impossible, of the supernatural, of things that science can't explain, remember Queen Isidora. Remember that sometimes the most frightening monsters are the ones that were once human, and that the greatest horrors are not the ones that come from outside our world, but the ones that emerge when human ambition refuses to accept the natural order of life and death. Sweet dreams.